Hey everyone, wanted to do a quick review video on my Winchester XPR that's chambered in 6.8 Western. This is their left-handed model and the standard black synthetic stock. Relatively overall, it's got some texture here on the foregrip, down here, and then the one complaint I would have is just where that plastic seam is right here. It might rub up against your cheek, but for the most part it's not too bad. This one's got a 24-inch barrel on it, and I had them cut and thread the barrel for a muzzle brake. I just have a ported muzzle brake on it, which definitely helps reduce the recoil. I've shot it before having it on it, and then now. It's got an oversized bolt handle, which I really like when you have gloves on. Hunting in the colder months in Wisconsin, you have your gloves on, and it can be pretty difficult to operate something like this if you have just those small knobs that they come standard with. All the controls are true left-handed control models. I know some rifle models, safeties might be different on different spots, but I really like that this one is up on the top here. Here are a quick basic of the controls, and I'll operate them using as a typical left-handed shooter would, so you can see how easy they are. Currently the safety is off. You got your red indicator right there. Safety on is easy to hit with just your thumb forward and off. Can open the bolt with the safety off, typical for ejecting your shells, reloading the next one and shooting. Or the safety can stay on, and I really like about this model, a lot of models of rifles by different manufacturers, you have to have the safety off to open the bolt. So if you're hunting, you have one chambered and you're looking to eject that shell, you can just push down on this, lift up, eject your shell without having to take the safety off. Your trigger's still locked. For removing the bolt, it's super easy. On the back side, there's this button right here. So you just open the bolt. Start bringing it back, push that button in, and the whole bolt handle comes off. Simple 3-lug bolt on this. And putting it back in is just reverse the procedure, push the button in, slide the bolt all the way in, lock it down, and then you're back good to go. The recoil pad that comes on this rifle is very good. Got a good amount of rubber squish to it. Also have the eyelets for on the rear and the front, both are metal for your slings. And the receiver also came drilled and tapped for putting a scope on it, so that saves you that. Added this rail system to it, and then this Vortex Crossfire 2 that's a 6-18 by 44. It has the adjustable objective for changing your parallax when you're shooting out at longer ranges to make sure you're accurate. And then I just upgraded to have these flip-up style scope covers, so I'm not scratching it or getting pine needles and whatnot in it. And then the scope also came with the sunshade here, which is nice with that bigger objective on the front to cut down on that glare when you're shooting towards the sunlight. One thing I will say about this scope itself is it's relatively inexpensive. I think MSRP is around $400 for it, but I got a discount on it and it was about $250, so it was almost half off. With the discount I had, I believe it was maybe 40% discount, and I got the 6-18 so that I'm able to stretch it out to long distances. Not that I'll ever be shooting it, but it still has that 6 power for the low end, which is plenty sufficient. The deer that I popped the picture up before I shot at 120 yards, and I think I just kept that on maybe 7 or 8 power. To keep it in screen, but I could pop a little short video clip I took up hunting during one of the rifle seasons here, where I was looking a couple miles away across a road on the next hill over at a group of turkeys, and you can see how clear the image is even for this relatively inexpensive scope. All this plastic feels relatively inexpensive and cheap. It's a pretty light rifle, easy to carry around in the woods, especially with that bigger scope on it, and it seems like it'll hold up pretty well. It's a pretty stout rifle, especially for the price point. I really like the XPR. Trigger guard is also oversized for getting your gloves in. And then the magazine that it comes with, it's a 3 capacity is a 3+1, so 1 in the chamber, 3 in the mag here, and it's just a plastic that clips right in. Nice and easy for removing, and if you have multiple, you can just swap them out and pop it in versus having to load them in to the magazine and keep them in there. So overall, I'd say it's a very good rifle, and I'll plan to post another video shortly of maybe shooting it and getting some accuracy testing with all these different factory ammunitions that I can find and figure out which one it shoots best. As far as the cartridge itself goes, the 6.8 Western was something I really wanted. That's why I had to get either the Browning or the Winchester, as they're typically the only ones you can find it unless you're building the rifle themselves that offer it. I believe there might be a couple more manufacturers like Christensen Arms now that are starting to get into it, but this is your budget-friendly option, and it still shoots the same cartridge as those. These are the factory options that I'm able to find at my locations. There's the Winchester Ballistic Silver Tips, Winchester Copper Impacts, AccuBond Long Range, and then Browning has this Silver Series, which seems like these might be a lot harder to find now, but this is actually what I used this last deer season, and these had plenty of stopping power. The only 2 that I've shot through this rifle so far have been this Ballistic Silver Tip, which I found that the rifle itself, as you know, it might be accurate in other rifles, but this rifle just wasn't shooting it as accurate as it was these Browning Silver Series with that plated soft point. But I have full box of Copper Impacts and AccuBond Long Range that I plan on testing out shortly, so I'll do a video on that, comparing these 4 cartridges together to see how well they shoot, because ultimately the most accurate round that it shoots is what I'll typically be using. Typically I'm hunting, most of the time it's just whitetail deer in Wisconsin, so your longest shots might be 200 yards, but I do plan to take this rifle out to Wyoming, either for antelope or mule deer or elk. And something good about that 6.8 is you're shooting, 160 to 170 grain bullets at 3,000 feet per second, and so it'll have plenty of power to shoot something as small as an antelope, but up, all the way up to an elk and past. One of the things these Winchester XPRs are known for is the Winchester MOA trigger system. So the trigger on this rifle, there's no pre-travel or anything on it. It's, I think, around a 4 or 5 pound trigger, and there's no pre-travel. It's just a smooth, quick click. Do that one more time. No pre-travel or anything in it, so it's a really good trigger system for trying to shoot accurately, making sure you're not flinching or moving around when you're trying to shoot at longer distances, especially where you notice that pull from a heavier trigger squeeze or something that might have pre-travel. So it's a really nice trigger system. I will say that this isn't my first Winchester XPR in 6.8 Western. That's the left-handed model. I've actually had 2 before this that both came back and were lemons. The serial numbers were only 13 numbers apart, so I'm assuming it was just that batch of them, and the issue I was having with them is they just could not shoot accurately or group with any of these cartridges I threw through it. But I really wanted to stick to the 6.8 Western, and I was already invested in it, getting the ammunition that I had, $70 a box of ammo. I didn't want to just throw it away. So this rifle itself, so far I've got about 20 rounds through it, and it seems to be much better than the others, whereas a 6.8 Western is known for being a very accurate rifle, especially at long ranges. So I wanted to be able to utilize all of that. The original 2 were grouping 4, 5, 6 inch groups at 100 yards, and I just wasn't able to bring them in. So I was happy that I was able to work with the gun shop that I was using, and they sent those rifles back to Winchester, and then they ultimately found me this one. And the original models that I had the tapped barrel or threaded barrel, excuse me, and muzzle brake on it, so they just put this on it for me, mounted the scope for free and everything. And then actually I think they got like $100 back because those other models were the Midnight Timber Campbell, so they were a little bit more expensive model. But overall it seems like a great rifle, and it'll suit me for a long time. I plan to use this and not get any more rifles for as long as I can. And being a left-handed shooter, it's nice being able to have something that fits you comfortably shooting left-handed. So plan on doing another video shortly on shooting all of these ammos through it, and we'll see how that goes. But thanks for taking time to watch.